Becky. Welcome back to my channel and my annual Wrap With Me video. I've done this video for the last few years where I wrap up all of the girls' gifts and stocking stuffers. And just in case you haven't already seen this year's gift guide videos, they went up a few weeks ago. I had 4 videos that went up sharing what we got our 16-year-old for her Christmas tree gifts, our 10-year-old's Christmas tree gifts, and then a video for each girl's stocking stuffers. I do that video every year as well. So make sure if you haven't seen this year's videos or any of the previous videos that you check them out. I'll link them for you in the description box, as well as my gift guide playlist. Every gift idea video I've made is in that playlist. So you'll find tons and tons of gift ideas there as well. So today's the fun part. We get to wrap everything up now that I've shown you guys what we're giving the girls. And just to kind of give you a little heads up, I'm also going to be answering your assumptions of me. I did a call for assumptions back on my YouTube community tab and on my Instagram page a while ago. It's been kind of an embarrassingly long time ago that I asked you guys to make assumptions about me, and then I will be responding to them. And then honestly, I lost those original assumptions, so I had to ask again. And I got quite a few more, so I'm going to be answering those assumptions while I wrap gifts. Okay, so before I get into the assumptions, the first thing I want to say, in case you haven't watched any of my previous gift wrapping videos, is that I tend to wrap all of one girl's main gifts at a time. No bows or anything, just wrap the gifts. And then I wrap, I just wrap the gifts, and then I go ahead and put ribbons and bows and tags on. Then I go to the next girl, wrap all of her main tree gifts. Then I do the ribbons and bows, and then the stocking stuffers, I do not do anything fancy. I just wrap them up, no tag, no ribbon, no bow, nothing. Just wrap them up, and then each girl has a stocking or it's actually a gift sack, actually. It's a felt bag, drawstring bag we use instead of stockings, and each girl's is different. So I don't even put their names in there. I just put them in their stocking and tell them, don't get them mixed up, because we're not going to know whose are whose if you get them mixed up. So that's kind of why you'll notice that I'm wrapping things and then going and putting bows on everything at once, because that's how I tend to wrap. Okay, so on to the assumptions. The first assumption from Sarah Francine is, I assume that you're an introvert and you prefer to be at home. That's actually the exact opposite. I'm not overly outgoing. I'm very nice and friendly to everybody when I'm out, but I'm not really overly outgoing in new or unsure situations, but I still don't like being at home. And nothing against my house. I do like being at home at certain times, but I'm also the type person that really enjoys getting out every single day if possible, which is one reason why we usually go out for lunch every single day. It's been a little difficult this year with quarantine and restaurants that keep opening and closing because of the governor's mandates. But normally I do like to go out every single day, and I don't like staying home all day or days and days in a row. The next assumption is from Plan with Caitlin. She said, I assume that you don't like Star Wars. I hear you mention a lot of other fandoms, but not Star Wars. You're absolutely right. I have nothing against Star Wars. It's just not my cup of tea. Of course, I grew up with the other, the original ones kind of being on TV all the time, and I'd seen bits and pieces of them. Then I had a boyfriend that was obsessed with them in high school, and I watched a few of the newer ones with him. And then it wasn't until last year that my husband and I sat down and watched the entire Star Wars series in order and everything just to see it, because we'd never done it and he'd never seen all of them. And I won't say that I hated them, but I was pretty bored in quite a few of them. I definitely like the newer ones better than the older ones, but still, it's not my thing. I don't really ever intend to watch them again on purpose. I like that Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is at Hollywood Studios at Disney World, which we haven't gotten to see yet, and I think I'll enjoy that, but I definitely am not a fan of the movies. The next assumption is from I Go By Many. She said, I assume that you feel like that if you don't do something by yourself, it won't get done, or it won't get done correctly. That's pretty much the case. That's just the perfectionist in me. And I think it also depends on who I'm asking to do it. Now, that's something I have to kind of fight against pretty much every day. If people are willing to help me, I try really hard to look over the fact that they may not have done something the way that I wanted it done. But that doesn't mean that I don't kind of cringe sometimes and think, oh, we should have done it this way, or, you should have done it that way. Try really hard to resist that temptation, but that is the perfectionist in me. Next assumption is from Kelly Elisa. She said, I assume that you and your family are missing Disney. Yes, I am missing Disney a lot. If you guys don't already know, we go to Disney every single year, sometimes twice. And I've gone every year since I was a little kid. And so it's a huge, huge part of our lives. And it's a huge part of our year. It's the highlight of our year. And honestly, if you ask me, it's just a really fun way to go somewhere that I feel comfortable, that I know I'm going to have a good time, and I can get away from my own self for about a week just to go down there and be somewhere that makes everything seem magical. And I know a lot of people don't feel that way, but I definitely feel that way. And it was really hard this year not being able to go, and then trying to make reservations later in the year and then having to cancel those. And so, yes, we're missing it like crazy. But more than anything, I'm just missing normalcy like crazy. Like even if I could have gone to Disney, I still know it wasn't going to be a normal trip to Disney. So I'm missing Disney, yes, but I'm also missing and longing for going to Disney and having things be normal. Not having to wear a mask, which I won't do. I've talked to you guys about that before. I'm not going to go down there as long as masks are required. I also don't want to go down there and have it be any different. Like, I don't want to have to see the markers on the sidewalks that say, stay away. I don't want to hear the announcement over the loudspeaker to stay away from people. And I know people have criticized me before and saying that I'm trying to live in a false sense of reality. If I go on vacation, I want it to be an escape from reality. And if I'm down there and I'm seeing people wearing masks, or I'm having to wear one, or I'm seeing marks on the sidewalk to keep people apart, or I'm hearing loudspeaker announcements to tell us to stay apart, that is not an escape from reality. That is reality following me on vacation. And I'm not willing to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to do that. So yes, we miss it like crazy. And that was a very long answer. You probably didn't want to know all of that. The next assumption, for some reason, I didn't have the username of who asked it, so I'm sorry, but it said, I assume that you're the oldest child. I assume that you and your husband like the Avengers since your dog's name is Loki. And I assume that you've never read Harry Potter. I assume that Christmas is your favorite holiday or season. That's a lot of assumptions. Okay, so I am the youngest child, actually. I'm the youngest child in my family. Well, I've only got one brother, and he's older. But I'm also the youngest of all of the first cousins. So I am definitely the baby of the family. Yes, me and my husband do really like the Avengers, and Loki is one of our favorite characters in the Avengers, if not our favorite. So we did name our dog after him. No, I have not read the Harry Potter series, and Christmas and Easter are my favorite holidays / seasons. Christmas and Easter are my favorite holidays. I really, really have a hard time deciding which one's my favorite. I love them both for different reasons. I really enjoy Easter, especially because it's in springtime. The one reason I don't like Christmas as much is because it is wintertime, and I hate winter. So that's kind of the thing with that. But I love that Christmas is more of a season where you have, weeks and weeks leading up to it and many, many celebrations leading up to it. Whereas Easter typically is just Easter Day. So there's good things about both of them, and I love them both. The next assumption is from the Perfect family. She said, I assume that you'll never get Bean a friend. Bean is our guinea pig. And I assume that you've always had to deal with a lot of judgment from your family, and that I have always been a giver. No, we won't ever get Bean a friend. I know a lot of people get mad about that because they said the guinea pigs are supposed to be in pairs at least. We were given some incorrect information when we got her from the pet store. We only got one guinea pig. We didn't realize that it was even supposed to be a big deal, that guinea pigs were supposed to have more than one playmate. At this point, though, I feel like it's too late to introduce another one, and I don't want to upset her lifestyle now of being an only pig to adding another pig that they may or may not like, they may or may not enjoy being with, and so no, she's not ever going to have a friend. I really, that I know of, have not had to deal with a lot of judgment from my family. Now, obviously, I guess I'm lucky if they are judging me. No one has really ever said anything, which is probably the way that it should be, because I don't really want to hear anybody else's judgments. And then I have always been a giver. I think so. I've always tried to be generous, and I've always been extremely blessed growing up and as an adult, and so I've always tried to be generous. Lizzie708 says, I have a feeling that you might be a remote hog. Yes, I'm definitely a remote hog. I'm also I get to pick what we watch hog. I told you guys before, I'm definitely a control freak, and I like to pick what we watch, and thankfully my husband's really accommodating when it comes to that. He pretty much will watch whatever most of the time, and that also goes with the remote as well. So yes, I am definitely a remote hog. ArkyGirl26 says, I assume that you can be a super fun mom but strict. All of your kids are so well behaved. Okay, this is funny because I was reading my girls some of these assumptions, and when I got to this one, my oldest daughter said yes, and she said, how do these people know so much about you? So you guys are pretty dead on with your assumptions so far. I personally feel that I'm a fun mom, but of course, don't most moms feel like they're fun moms, and then their kids may have other things to say about it, but I do feel like I am. I try to be a fun mom, and I know sometimes that might be embarrassing, but that's okay. But yes, I do also think I'm really strict, and I think that's just part of the way that I was raised. My parents were strict, but they were fair, and they were fun, and they were kind, and they gave grace, and I think that's a very hard balance to strike, but I try to strike that every single day. So I think if you had to sum me up, or you asked me of the type of mom I wanted to be, that's pretty much what I would want to be. I want to be fun, but I also want to be active and participating, and I don't want to say strict because that sounds harsh, but giving your kids rules and guidelines and boundaries, whether they like it or not, and whether they would admit it or not, is actually a sign of love, as long as it's done with fairness. And so that's really what I try to do. Cynthia DeWeese says, I assume you're very organized and intentional. You tend to get things done in a timely manner, and you don't give yourself excuses to let things go. And that's something that she struggles with. I do have a hard time sometimes finishing things up, but I do think overall I'm organized and I am intentional. I make to-do lists every day. Sometimes they don't always get done. Sometimes days fly off the rails and other things end up getting done, but I do still try to make a framework of my day. I try to be organized with my time, and I kind of have to be. Being a stay-at-home mom, being a homeschool mom, and being a work-at-home mom, you kind of have to be organized to get all those things done. That doesn't mean I get everything done. It doesn't mean it's done perfectly, but I think you do have to be somewhat organized for that. And as far as getting things done in a timely manner, I'm typically the person that would rather be somewhere early or do something way before I had to. Even in school, I would do the same thing. I wouldn't wait till the last minute usually, because I like to get things done early so I can stop worrying about them and just relax. Heather Russell had 2 assumptions. She said, I assume that you're a good listener and a good friend, and I assume that you're a good judge of character. I hope I'm a good listener. I know a lot of times, especially with the girls, sometimes during the day, I'm distracted because I'm thinking of like, okay, I've got to go fix dinner, or I'm in the middle of this homeschool lesson and somebody comes in to tell me a big story. I try to be a good listener, but it can be very hard sometimes with a lot going on. And that's one reason why I like when I tuck the girls in at night, I try to spend a few extra minutes in each girl's room with them alone so that I'm not interrupted by somebody else. I'm not interrupted by my phone. It's just me and them, and we can talk. As far as being a good friend, I definitely try to be. I don't really have a lot of extra friends that are not in my family. But when I do have, conversations with other people that are not related to me, or I've gone out with other people, I definitely try to be a good friend. I try to listen, and I try to help out. As far as being a good judge of character, I think so. I think you learn over the years some warning signs that maybe you have seen in the past. And I've made a lot of mistakes with relationships in the past, not just romantic relationships, but just friendships. And so as I've seen my girls grow and have some of these same experiences, I can look back now and say, okay, well, that is kind of a warning sign. And especially my oldest, is she's kind of dating age, and I'll tell her like how a boy treats his mom typically is how he's going to treat you. If he's not kind to his mom and he's not respectful to her, and he's not calling her when he's out, or different things like that, you can usually gauge how a boy is going to be as a boyfriend by how they treat their moms and other women in their lives and their friends. So just little things like that I've learned over the years. So I think in that regard, yes, I am a good judge of character. Lauren Swaff, I think is how you pronounce it, said, you are a very strict parent, more strict than dad. That's kind of a hard one because my husband's gone a lot. He works a lot, and I think because he knows that I've kind of got the reins as far as parenting goes, he doesn't interject a whole lot. Which is fine. It works out okay with me because I am the one that's here 24/7. I know pretty much every little in and out of my girls. I know pretty much what things lead to arguments or grumpiness and different types of things. So I can kind of nip those things in the bud. Whereas he may not have that same experience because he's not with them all the time. So even though I think he would be equally strict as I am, I don't think he is, just because he's not here. And so he kind of knows a lot of times, even when he is here, I'm kind of the one that's in charge as far as that goes. So it's kind of a yes and no answer for that one. Mrs. CMI said, you don't say bad words. No, definitely not. I'm a Christian, so I try not to say anything that I shouldn't. I definitely don't. I mean, I definitely don't curse, but even some slang words that people say that aren't technically cuss words, I don't like them, and so I don't say them. Okay, this next one, I don't know how to pronounce the username. Kandringa, however you pronounce that, says that I'm a picky eater. Definitely picky eater. I am very, very picky about what I eat, and I tend to eat the same things over and over and over. And you guys know this if you've watched my channel for a while. Most of the time we go to Panera for lunch every day. I get the same thing every time. And I know that's been a source of people being super concerned that I have a mental problem because I eat the same thing every day. But literally that was what was said, that I'm there's something wrong with me because I eat the same thing every day. And I don't think that's that big of a deal. I like to eat the same thing every day for the most part because I know what I'm going to get. I try to eat fairly healthily and, keep my calories and all that stuff in check. And so I like to eat the same thing every day because I know that even when I was trying to lose weight, I was able to eat these things and lose weight. So I know that now that I'm maintaining, it's just easier for me. Plus, I like consistency. I like knowing what I'm going to get, and that's why I like to eat the same things over and over. But yes, I am picky. I don't like spicy foods. I don't like trying new things. So it's easier for me just to stick with what I know I like. Mickey Sparkle says, you never raise your voice with your girls and have the patience of a saint. I definitely don't really ever raise my voice. I do have a temper by nature. Like I'm very impatient, and I do very, very easily have a bad temper, but I've gotten very, very good over the years at controlling it. When my oldest was little, I definitely yelled at her a lot more. I can't even think of the last time that I yelled at either one of them. But when she was little, yes. And I feel bad about that. And I told her recently, I was like, I'm sorry that I lost my temper with you so much. And she's like, what's okay? I don't remember. But I think a lot of that at that time was because I was so unsure of what I was doing and so lacking confidence in being a mother that I just would lose my temper over the dumbest stuff. But no, now I hardly ever raise my voice. And I don't have to. The girls, thankfully, are very good overall. And even when they do something wrong, it's actually, I have found that lowering my voice and speaking more slowly has actually been way more effective than yelling ever was. So the next time you tend to want to yell at your kids, stop for a minute, take a breath, and actually lower and slow your voice. And you probably will be surprised that they actually listen a lot better. And do I have the patience of a saint? No. I'm very impatient, but I think it's also something that I have learned over the years, and especially being a homeschool mom. That really kind of amped up my patience abilities, because before we homeschooled, I said, I don't have the patience to teach anybody anything. But I think you can find the patience to do a lot of things when you know you have to. And for me, homeschooling was a decision that I did not want to go back on. It was something I was committed to and passionate about. And so I was like, okay, I've decided to do this. So how am I going to work out being patient? And it's just something I've grown with over the years. So doesn't mean I don't ever get impatient and irritated, because I definitely do. But I think patience is kind of like an acquired skill, like a strength that you kind of need to work like a muscle. The more you work on being patient, the easier it gets. I don't know how to pronounce this next one either. Dara, Lynq. I don't want to say it wrong and sound like an idiot. So that's their username. They assume that I'm a creature of habit. Yes, definitely. This kind of goes back to the eating the same thing all the time and doing the same thing a lot of the same ways every day. Yes, I'm definitely a creature of habit. That makes me comfortable. It makes me, I kind of know what to expect when I do the same things or I go the same places, and that is comforting to me. So yes, definitely a creature of habit. The Baker Brigade says you will continue remodeling other parts of your house. She's probably saying that because recently we just did a full kitchen remodel renovation, and that was the biggest home project that we've taken on since we moved in 13 years ago. And then we've done some other smaller projects along the way, and I'll link those for you guys. I actually have a home improvement kind of cleaning, organizing playlist. We did so many projects this year in particular. I think like a lot of people did, because we were home a lot of the time because of quarantine. So we got to do projects that we've been wanting to do for years and never had done. So that was really, really nice. And I do continue, like actually right now we're redoing the bathrooms. We're redoing the girls' bathroom, and we're redoing the downstairs half bathroom. And I think that's just kind of a snowball effect. When you start remodeling other parts of your home, you realize that, okay, well, now this needs to be redone, or this needs to be repainted, or we need new floor in this room. And I'll be sharing both bathrooms with you guys in a video coming soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Other than that, there's always things you could remodel and redo, and there are a few other rooms I want to like paint and some things I didn't want to change. The living room is on the docket for next year. Getting new carpet, changing the artwork and some stuff like that. But as far as remodeling goes, the kitchen is and was the biggest thing I think we probably will conquer in this house. GC Parkhill says that you clash with your eldest because she's more of a free spirit and you are more precise. Well, I don't know that I necessarily clash with her. We all get along really, really well. And thankfully, she's very respectful. She was actually a little harder to deal with around 12 or 13 than she is right now. She's very good and she's very respectful. And I honestly, and I could totally be wrong, but I've noticed in things that she's done, she tends to listen to what I say. And she doesn't always agree, for sure. But an example was when she had a little boyfriend last year, and he was doing some things that I didn't think were right. And so I remember telling her, people can tell you they love you, but it's what they show you that counts. And I didn't think much about that really at the time, but she mentioned it to me almost a year later that, that I had said that to her, and she had used that a lot in that relationship and realized that he wasn't what he should have been and he wasn't doing what he should have been doing. And so she's definitely a lot different than me in some ways, but I think she also knows that I am doing what I do, and I tell her what I tell her because I love her, and I truly, honestly feel like it's the best thing for her. So while that's not always easy for her to accept, I think overall she's pretty good about listening to what I say. And as far as being a free spirit, she is a little bit like her dad in that way. She's extremely, I don't want to say stubborn, because I'm pretty stubborn too. I'm probably more stubborn than he is, but I just think there's a little bit of him in her that's like a little bit of an edge to her. She's kind of a little bit more assertive, I guess, in some ways, and does things that are a little bit more assertive than I would. But I definitely don't think we clash, and I think actually the two of us together make a pretty good team. I don't know how to pronounce this next one. Charity, Shekinah, and then Karina Ketty both had political questions. They were wanting to know who I voted for, and that's one thing that I have not ever talked about on my channel, because there are very few things that I'm willing to take hate or argument or negative comments about. And I think political opinions are one of those things. Now, there's probably not a whole lot that I could say that would make me more unpopular than to say I'm a Christian. But that I'm proud to say, and that I am proud to go to bat for, because that is defending my faith, and that's defending God and Jesus. And to me, defending them and sharing my faith and relationship with them is worth any hatred or any negative comments or any people that don't want to subscribe that may happen. But as far as politics go, I don't think I'm not willing to take hatred from people for who I vote for. Being a Christian, I will vote for whoever is the most conservative of the candidates, whoever that may be. That's how I always choose who I vote for. And I wish I could have given you a better answer, and I just don't feel like it's necessary to open myself up to whatever criticism I would get. No matter who I would say, there would be criticism about it and negativity about it, and it's just a lot easier to not say it. This is a Christmas wrapping video, and I want it to be happy and uplifting. Those are all the assumptions that I got. You guys had some great assumptions, and like my girl said, you all know me pretty well. It's amazing how many things people pick up, little things that you say here and there about preferences or things that I do or patterns that I have in my life that you guys have picked up on and been able to make some really good assumptions. So I appreciate you asking. If you have any other ones and you would like for me to answer them in a future video, or if you have questions, I haven't done a Q&A in quite a while either. So I'm open to doing that. If you guys are interested in that, leave your questions in the comments and let me know when you wrap gifts. Do you like to wrap them all at once? Do you wrap them as you buy them? Like, how do you wrap gifts? Do you have a gift wrapping station set up? Or how do you do it? That's another reason why I like to wrap most of the gifts all at the same time, because I don't have a dedicated wrapping space, so I don't want to keep dragging stuff out over and over and over. So I like to get out everything I need. I like to wrap every single thing I possibly can wrap, and then that way I'm not having wrapping paper mess all over the house, for the weeks leading up to Christmas. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and wrapping gifts with me. Definitely give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And don't forget to check out my playlist. I will link my gift guide playlist for you that also has the previous wrap videos in there as well. And if you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe before you head out, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.